Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot and welcome to today's reading. After the last couple of readings, I have really gotten a lot of notes about okay, I get that I'm supposed to be focusing more on myself. How can I unhook myself from this? Like, what is it that's holding me so tightly to this situation? And, how do I open myself up to this opportunity? There's opportunity that's out there for me, but it's almost like I have to let go of that in order to open myself up. Or you're telling me I should be able to do both, but I can't figure out how to do both. So we're going to look into that a little bit. It is a general reading, as always, and it's going to be a general reading for this collective. So if this one speaks to you, if this one resonates, you may want to look at some of the other ones because all the readings are very much connected. So there might be some other useful information in there for you for those as well. Let's start with the energetic and emotional backdrop. Energetic and emotional backdrop is going to be something that's impacting everybody in the situation. Both of you, the whole, everybody, everything that's happening. You've got the Seven of Cups in reverse, not being sure of which direction to go. We've seen a lot of that in the last couple of days, especially we've seen it impact your person where they feel like they're being pulled in a couple of different directions, but neither of the directions seems viable. Trying to move farther, they feel like they're being pushed or pulled farther in a direction that is not a direction they necessarily want to go. And it feels like it's pulling them away from where they would ultimately like to go, but they don't feel like they have a lot of choices, even if they were to free themselves up to be able to go this way. It's a sort of an echoing concept that we've had coming through in the readings for the last couple of days. Feels like it's really bugging them, and it really feels like it's on the energy. It's on their mind right now. We also have the Seven of Pentacles. Did I do enough? Feeling of questioning investment, not just the card of investment. It's always got that little bit of a sense of investment to it, but in this case, it's did I invest enough? And then the Eight of Swords, this tendency to overthink things. So that's what's in the energy today. This is not a super frantic energy, but it is also not a super calm energy, because there's fear that comes from this. These a lot of questions and not being sure which direction do I go? Did I invest enough? Having a tendency to overthink things. It's not an easy energy in today's energy, and you may both be experiencing some of that. A lot of self-questioning. We have the Mystic. Here's that energy of what kind of pushes you in different directions. A lot of things controlling both of you right now, and a sense of, okay, these are our cards. A lot of things that are trying to control your situations right now, a lot of things that are motivating you, pushing you. There's third party energy here associated with this Three of Cups. The Mystic is about guidance that you receive or that you are receiving, but that you are not necessarily taking. With the Three of Cups, you've got this sense of, there are two messages coming through with this. This is around understanding what third party energy is healthy and what isn't. And then, because some of it is going to be impactful to your relationship, thereby designating it as third party energy. But it's not necessarily harmful, it's not necessarily bad, but it's out there teaching you or your person some lessons. There's some discernment needed in that. I see a little bit in that. With this Five of Wands, I definitely have this feeling of struggle and a sense of not being able to accomplish easily something that seemed like it was going to be easy to do. And then discovering that there's not a simple way to go, and trying to determine if they want to keep going with it. There's a decision that has to be made here. Doesn't necessarily show up in these cards, but I can feel that, so we may see that show up. We also have the Warrior of Wands, and so maybe the decision feels like it's in this card because it's about how to conduct oneself. do I stay or do I go? There's a lot of do I stay or do I go? And in their situation, there's a lot of how do I conduct myself? They have the desire to be in and out, and that very inconsistent. So they want to be able to come in when they want to come in and go when they want to go. And they can't decide how to handle it. You don't tend to operate that way with regard to their energy, and instead tend to be more consistent with them, but can't decide whether you should stay or go, as in whether you should retract your energy and walk away. Now, we've seen in the recent readings that the advice is really less around retraction of the energy and walking away, and more about just kind of turning and refocusing elsewhere. And that's where we're headed with this reading. Like, what's the best way for you to think about doing something like that? Because in this case, honestly, both of you have that advice to branch out and to do something new with your energy, but it's hard to do in this energy of the Ace of Swords in the reverse. So again, we've been seeing this card come out in nearly every reading, if not every reading here recently. Same with the Spirit of Swords, it's been coming out a lot. At least the last couple days, we've definitely seen it. This is about not taking everything into consideration because of being afraid of what you might find. We saw this come out for your person. We saw that you were guided to go ahead and take everything into consideration. I suspect that the reasons that you might have for not taking everything into consideration are different from being afraid of what you might find, because your impressions around the truths are a little bit different, but there's still some struggles that are happening there. So watch for that. Watch for that even as it may relate to you. And we have the Temperance card. This is really just about seeking balance. It's about seeking balance and thinking that the other one may hold the key to that balance to a certain degree. And I feel like that may be true, but it's like, hold on, we got two. It's only true as it relates to healing already having been done. It doesn't work until you get to that place. It's like we were talking about, I think this was in yesterday's reading, or it might have been the day before. But it was about, it was love. It was asking whether they were doing this out of love or out of passion. And it's until they learn lessons to a certain point, they are doing it primarily out of passion. After a certain point, they get to a place where they are able to do it out of love. But right now, it's a little bit like that's locked up to them. It's not available to them yet. There's a sense of being locked away inside themselves or locked away from a part of themselves. And that's part of trying to find this balance. It comes out again as inner child work. So I haven't heard as much about inner child work in the entire time I've been on YouTube as much as I mean, that if I count listening to other people as much as I've heard about it in the last week, especially if I count the personal readings. So I generally have been like 3 to 5 days. It takes me 3 to 5 days to get a personal reading out. There have been just an influx of personal readings, and it's to the point where I'm on 5 days and I'm trying to get it done. So if you have a personal reading out there, just know I'm working on it. I don't like to do it when I don't feel like the energy isn't, when I don't feel like the energy is right. And then when it is right, sometimes I'm able to chug through just tons and tons of them. Some of them have been a little bit challenging, but that's one message that just keeps coming through. And so there's a need to kind of shift yourself to a place where you're ready to set things right and to create a balance. But maybe even a redefinition of terms is in order. So let's dig into now the heart of the matter. How are you going to open yourself up to this opportunity? What does that look like for you? And knowing that this is something that's kind of got to happen for both you and your person, we're going to open it up to that energy as well and just say, this is basically advice for the two of you. What's going to help you to open yourselves up to this opportunity? Part of it has to do with the healing that you do together versus the healing that you do separately. You have the Nine of Wands talking about resistance, and that really reminds me of something else that came up in one of the readings yesterday, or the yesterday reading, around healing and whether you have to be healed in order to come back into union. Because in truth, you'll have certain types of healing that, or certain aspects of your healing that have to happen when you're in separation, because otherwise you'll just keep kind of bouncing off of each other. But once you get to a point where you've moved through those portions, even if you're not completely all the way done healing, you may still be in a place where you have enough reconciliation under your belt that you're able to do the rest of it while in union. So, excuse me, that's something to think about. In the meantime, though, we've got a lot of resistance to change that would need to, and a lot of just being like blown away so by this bond. So some of you are sitting here and saying, listen, I've been in this bond for a couple years now, several months now, several years. How can I not be done mourning this? How can I still be having this experience? And I want you to know, I get that note 10 times a day. 10 times a day easily. I am being conservative when I say 10 times a day. Somebody says, "Good heavens, how am I still feeling this? Please tell me I'm not crazy." And you are not. This is you'll often hear that you can't determine how long it's going to take somebody to get past the grieving process, but in this case it's about getting through the healing process. It's not just grieving, it's grieving that's associated with healing that you're on the heels of, you're in the process of. So you're doing it, but until you get to a certain point with it, it just doesn't feel better. And until your person does certain types of healing, they will have a particularly difficult time contributing to the positivity or coming back and reconciling. So no, it's not in any way strange that it's taking this long, and you're not alone. We also have the death card in the reverse. Death card in the reverse is actually about resisting the transformation. We've seen a lot of this card here lately. There's a tendency to resist change, resist transformation, and to be just amazed by how powerful this is, how powerful the bond is, the feelings around the bond. Give yourself that space to accept and understand this about yourself, but you're also being advised to not let it stop you. So you have to give yourself enough space to truly feel the emotion around this. And for a lot of you, this is something that you can't easily talk about with everybody you know. So you can't talk to your family, you can't talk to your friends, you can't talk to this person. This is maybe the person that you would want to talk to about it, but you got no choice. And there's not really an opportunity to talk with anyone, which means it's going to take you a little bit longer. You're basically trying to get more healing through a smaller hole opening. And so it's going to take a little bit of time for that to happen. Give yourself that healing space, but don't allow yourself to stay there permanently. So at least a small portion of everyday practice dropping that resistance and dropping the resistance to change. This may seem like a small thing when you first start doing it. I recommend doing it through meditation or prayer. It may seem like a really small thing that's not making much headway at first, but this is about letting go. It's about letting go of the resistance that keeps you from moving forward and saying, well, what is the worst case scenario if I decided to move toward an opportunity? Because in some cases, you guys are sitting on opportunities. There's more than one of you sitting on a job transfer you're not taking. Okay. And that is part of that resistance to change, part of that resistance to the transformation. So this transformation may in fact be enabled by the change, by accepting the opportunity. So really give some good consideration to accepting that opportunity, because it may be the way for you to go. What we see is that there's a tendency for you to be a little bit closed off and to be hyper focused on the situation with this person. But unfortunately, it might be too hyper focused to the point where it's generating more anxiety than it cures. And so if you're able to look at this and say, I am definitely generating more anxiety than it's curing. This is an example of a situation where you may want to really focus on not just ripping that resistance out of the way, but look at it, see why it's there. Because if you don't take it out at the root, you're not really going to be able to get rid of it. There's an inherent lack of confidence in moving through this portion of the healing. and moving towards something new, because there is a history of this not working out the way that you would like for it to. It's a challenge. It's a tough one. But you also have a lot of there's a lot of potential for you to be able to move forward. You are one of those people that when you want something, you really have the capacity to manifest it. And I'm not saying manifesting against someone else's free will, because here you've got a person where their free will is what's holding you from being able to manifest the situation between the two of you, because they've got other options and they're choosing to take them for whatever reason that is. Now, in some cases, we know, in almost all cases, we know there is a third party, and that is where your person is getting a great deal of knowledge, awareness, information they're going to be able to bring back and create their own transition. So they're a little bit behind you on this road of healing. So they don't yet have that the ability to perceive the opportunity quite the same way that you do. If you see your person jumping on opportunities, in a lot of cases, it's them saying, I just got to do something. I just have to change things. I don't necessarily know what direction I want to go. But there's this tendency, once you start moving, to really continue moving. Not a new concept, but here we have it generating some real change and generating some real electricity behind it. It's something that once you start moving, you're going to discover that this isn't like you're putting out the flame, and this may be key for some of you. Moving toward this new opportunity does not put out the flame of the old opportunity or the person that you're walking away from, or you're not even walking away. All you're doing is pivoting and focusing in a different direction. Even if it involves moving to a different place, the world has become a lot smaller with technology. You still have the opportunity to build things back, but in a lot of cases, you still need some distance in order to be able to do so. So you've got the Seven of Wands. One of the things that that came out with the Seven of Swords over here, we saw the lack of confidence. That feels like a Seven of Wands in reverse more than a Seven of Swords in reverse, because with the Seven of Swords in reverse, what I would mostly like to see is increased self-trust. But what I'm not feeling is that increased self-trust, and yet I feel like it's right beneath the surface. It's right beneath the surface for a lot of things to open up, and all of a sudden you have this path before you that starts to make sense, and you have a path that you're moving and you feel strongly about. Even if you don't, it's a mixed feeling, it's a lot of feeling. Over here we've got that Seven of Cups of, there are some options open available to me right now, but I don't know which one to take. Nothing looks really good. We saw that in your person's perspective yesterday or the day before, maybe both. In this case, though, this is a matter of you have options that all of a sudden start to look good to you. That lack of confidence, you're able to remove the slight barrier and open up something that creates a great deal of confidence. And it has to do with self-trust. It has to do with trusting yourself to jump into something new. And again, with the inner child healing that has come up so many times here recently, this is truly being able to benefit from some of that. So we've got the Chance card in the reverse. This is change that can't happen until you let go. It can't happen until you let go. However, so it goes hand in hand with the Death card in reverse. It goes hand in hand also then with this Nine of Wands. But this is that sense of something that can't change. This tower needs to fall. And it's not necessarily like it's destructive to some of the constructs in your life, but these are not constructs that ultimately you're going to be sad are gone. You're not killing anything important. Let me just say that. So if you've got, and this seems super specific, if you've got an opportunity staring at you, you might want to think about taking it. You might want to think about really jumping into something new, giving yourself the opportunity to refocus. And this is the reclamation card, and reclaim is actually the next word that wanted to come out of my mouth. If you've got this opportunity to reclaim you are encouraged to take it, really to take it. However, keep in mind that simply moving in a new direction does not necessarily mean that you get to do reclamation. This is the devil card. This is devil energy. This requires you to get out from under the thumb of something that's controlling you. However, it's not going to be possible to get out from under the thumb of that which is controlling you while you sit in the same place in this situation. Something has to change, and something, taking that new opportunity, if you have one, that you are observing, that you're thinking about, it's really, really, you got to consider it. I'm not just going to say jump on it, because it would be silly for me to tell a group of thousands of people what to do. Here, go do this one thing. I mean, that doesn't make sense for everybody, but if this applies to you, you really got to evaluate this. And if you've written it to me, you definitely got to evaluate this. It's a very strong energy it's got this electricity to it. The worst of the pain is behind you. That's again what comes through in this. So, all right, let's see. What I want to look at here is, so we look at your lessons in this last portion. This is where you need to focus, but it's also a little bit of practicality around what you need to do. So, I want us to, when we get into the extended, I want us to look a little bit more into why the resistance, because I think we might separate it out and say why the resistance on your side, why the resistance on their side, because it feels like it might be coming from some slightly different places, with you being in different places on the healing path. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at advice for you, as well as where you can best be served by focusing, given what we've got on the table and just in general. Okay, so we've got that devil card again. It's the same as this reclamation card, but basically it's not saying, oh no, you've got something that is creating overthinking in you. I think you have some awareness of that. I think this is really about, it's time to go ahead and focus on that. It's time to go ahead and say, that it doesn't necessarily have the opportunity to control you. It shouldn't be given the opportunity to control you or to loom this large in your life. I feel like that's a big part of this message. So this is getting a hold of yourself in a whole new way. In all those ways that you've been working on some very important aspects of it. There's something new that rises for you. And the thing is, you're going to walk away from some of something that you consider to be traditional. There's something that you consider to be traditional, or maybe a decision that you would traditionally make or have made. You're being asked to break with that and do something a little bit different. This is breaking a cycle. And then you've got the Heart of Swords, breaking a cycle and cutting yourself free from something. All right. So you take an opportunity. When you take the opportunity that is being presented to you over here, should you choose to do that, there's also going to be an opportunity to break with something else. And that is going to end up being good. Even if it's like a job transfer and you're moving away from a job that you don't hate. That job, there's something about it that wasn't going to offer you what you ultimately need, and this one is. There's something about the cutting out something that needs to change. You're resisting cutting out something that needs to change, and I get that your person is doing that too, but this is feeling very all about you, and especially as we get over here, it's like, hey, look for this. They are giving you instructions, and it's awesome instructions. We have the Nymph of Cups. Time to keep quiet, time not to reach out to this person, time to not instigate contact. Again, if this is a person who reaches out to you, we know that's likely to happen in some cases. Give them a chance to say what they need to say. Be gentle with them, but you're not specifically wanting to go that direction. There is something here that needs to be uncovered for you. So it feels like the Hanged Man, but like the new perspective that hasn't come out yet. So this is a mystery, but the clouds are going to part and then it's going to come through. However, it's still moonlight, so it doesn't really show you much of the full picture. be prepared that you're defining some things. So you're going to discover some things about yourself as you move through this process, and you're going to figure out a little bit of, it's not just gaining additional self-worth. This is a lot about understanding more about who you are and where your boundaries are and where they need to be. And I get that with the Six of Pentacles. So you're going to be able to define, here with this Nine of Cups is what I really want. And with the Six of Pentacles, here's what it looks like when I'm not receiving my share, when I'm not receiving what I should be receiving, when things are not going equally, and the exchange of energy is not equal. And I see that you may decide to pull yourself out of some of those types of situations, not in a rash manner or a dramatic manner. This is just kind of backing away from energies that don't treat you right. It's not a big splash or a big dramatic, I'm walking away. Like, you aren't even going to feel the need to say it. You're just going to recognize it and go, all right, you know what? We're going to calmly retract from this. With the Spirit of Wands, it's more of that same sense, but you have to be careful to watch out for trying to control someone. So, or trying to control a situation, because this Spirit of Wands is one that wants to reach out and control things. It's also one who wants to right some wrongs. With the Four of Cups, this is a feeling of something that's never quite opened up, never quite, it's been a disappointment. It's been a disappointment when it seems like it so obviously could have been beautiful. And it feels like you've lost ground here. This Three of Wands is about that perception of having lost ground or missed an opportunity. And it's here to tell you that with some reframing, that opportunity, you are able to jump in and have an opportunity that more than makes up for it. Okay, so I just shuffled away the Empress in reverse, which was kind of an honorable mention, talking about feminine energy that's not quite in balance and something that you're going to want to work on. So if you aren't familiar with all the aspects of feminine energy, they're around nurturing, they're around balance, they're about not a nice balanced ability to connect with somebody that doesn't feel clingy, doesn't feel pushy or avoidant. And so that Empress card in the reverse says there's still some work there. Not necessarily that you have long-term issues that you're not going to be able to resolve. Just watch the way that you're still behaving in some situations where you may have already solved the issue. And then here with the masculine energy, it looks like you are moving in a really positive energy with regard to that. That, though, I'm just going to say it again, feels like that inner child that is more of a healed inner child that now feels not necessarily an urge to control the situation, just an urge to be able to look for to be vigilant for themselves, and to be able to say, I'm here for myself, even in situations where maybe somebody else might not be. So we're going to roll into the extended. And going into the extended, we're going to look a little bit more into maybe what's in the way of what's creating this resistance around this opportunity from both your perspectives. If you'd like to go there, the link is down below in the video description, and I will be happy to see you there and to look a little bit farther into this. If not, then I look forward to seeing you again in tomorrow's reading.